Aloha Velo, your one-stop shop for all your Brompton needs. Today we're going to be installing a Joseph Kuosac S-bar onto the Brompton S Edition. And so this is actually a 2-speed that we're going to be working on. It's a C-line. And the main reason we're going to be doing this is, in my personal opinion, the S-bar as it is awesome. I mean, it's the one Brompton chose, but it's 21.5 inches wide versus the Joseph Kuosac bar, which is going to be 24 inches wide. It just gives you a lot more comfortability. It's a lot more comfortable when you're on the road. Gives it a little bit more of a stable feel. And so as you can see, I'll hold it up here. It just gives you that little extra, about 1.5 inches on either side. Just makes it a little bit more comfortable.
Got some sweep back to it too?
Yep. It's got a little bit of sweep back, so you can also angle it up if you want a little bit more height. So it just makes it a little bit more, you have a little bit more adjustability on the bike itself.
And 2 color options?
Yep, there's 2 color options. So this is like the silver. It's a little bit shinier than your standard Brompton silver S-bar. And then you also have the black, which is pretty much the same color as your black edition parts.
Nice.
Cool.
Now we're going to do a install.
Installing a new S-bar on here, you can do it while it's in a stand like this, but I've noticed that it's actually a little bit easier and you have a little bit more cable management, able to pull the cables apart more when it's actually in the folded position. So I'll just take it down real quick. And so you can notice the actual stem of the bike kind of affects the play of the cables. So it's going to make it really hard to pull this one off this side just to get the brake lever off. However, if you go ahead and fold the bike and put it into what I like to call the shopping cart mode, which is basically when you have the handle up and the seat down just to prevent it from being able to pull out. And why I call it shopping cart mode is because you can clip a bag into the front and be able to kind of roll it around the shop like a shopping cart. But, I mean, that just gives you just a little bit more play with the cable. So you will actually be able to pull off this brake lever all the way in this position because it just pushes it a little bit away and also gives you a little bit more cable length in this orientation. So for removing this, you're just going to need a 6mm hex. You'll also need, depending on what grips you have, you'll need, I believe it's a 3 in order to, I believe actually it's a 4. So you need a 4 in order to take off the brake calipers, and then you also need whatever grips you have on there. Usually it's a 2.5 or a 3 to take off the actual grips. And then this one in the middle is a 6. So we'll go ahead and loosen that up first. And when installing the new bar, you actually want to remove this bolt completely, just so you have enough play in this area. So these particular grips were the 3.
Have you gone back to narrow bars since you went wide?
No, I've never gone back to the narrow bars after going wide. It's just definitely more comfortable riding position in my opinion, having the wider. If you go a little too wide, it does actually touch the ground. So like in this folded position, if you're going to go past the 24, then you actually might have the grip touch ground. So I have done that with like a carbon set that I just made, like I think it was like 27 wide. And so something like that. So you just got to be careful. Luckily, the Joseph Kuosac specifically comes in the 24. So my friend's out in Japan. He does the Brompton Tokyo tours. He's one of the dealers for Joseph Kuosac, and they also have not only bars, but they also have carbon wheel sets and a lot of other mods that you can put on your bike. So it's a really awesome brand for not only bars, but they also have even headsets. If you just want a little extra bling and also functionality and changing the weight of your bike, most of their parts are going to be lighter than the standard Brompton parts. So
You got some in stock here?
we do. We do have the bars specifically in stock, and we probably will be getting the headsets and stuff like that as well. But for now, we do have not only the S bar, but we also have the black M bar as well. And so this is going to be the same width, also 24 inches wide. And it just also has a little bit more of a sweep up, just to give you more comfortable ride even on the M bar. So this is also a good option if you felt like you're just too narrow, even on the M Brompton. Cool. All right. So like I said, when this is up in the stand, this actually makes it really hard to pull off these without either releasing the brake or the brake cable in the front and the rear in order to give you a little bit more play. So it just makes it harder for removing the bar itself. So we'll be able to get it to a point, and then we're probably going to have to shift the bar one way, and then we can shift it back, just so we're not putting too much stretch on this cable itself. Oh, so that one we're able to get off. Cool. So just keep those on either side of the bike there, if possible. Then the bar itself. And so this is tight, so you are going to probably have to twist it back and forth a little bit. There we go. And that's even with the bolt completely removed, which is why I say I like to completely remove this bolt just so there's a little bit more flex in there. And it's going to be the same thing when installing the new one. One thing to think about is when you are installing it, once this goes all the way through, because you have the extra length on both sides, it can actually make it harder to put the new brakes on. So I like to, when I'm feeding it in one side, I'll start this one right away, just so I'm not having to try and force it on the end later. So once again, it's going to make it a little bit tough to get this through, and at some point it might even need like a rubber mallet, so I might grab that. But
Question. Can that be pried open a little bit so the bar slides in easy without scraping?
yeah, you could try and pry it open a little bit. I don't see why not. Easier if you have two people to do this would be, as you're trying to force the middle of this bar through, you can actually stick something like a park tool wrench through and just put a little slight pressure just to flex it a little bit, just so you can push the bar through if need be. And that might make it just that much easier to slide the bar through instead of having to kind of force it. Oh. Instead of having to force it.
Yeah. Raja, cool. Or you just use a mallet.
Or you can use a mallet, yeah. Okay, and then so, like I said, it's just easier to push it all the way through, and then you can feed on the opposite side, and then try and go back to the Probably made this, whatever this is, exactly 25.4 millimeters, whereas the actual Brompton one is, and it could be the paint too on the inside that's making it slightly tighter to go through. But yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Like, once you get it there, you just want to center your brakes. And so I basically go from where the grips are going to end. So I'll slide the grip on. And because these are slightly wider, You don't want to really mess with the cable length that the Brompton is already set. So I usually go in about an inch on either side from the grip, just to make sure we're not affecting the fold and pulling cable. So. Cool. And then when we're setting this part up, probably unfolding it back just to get the bars back level, so you can see where these are going to fall, and also because it does sweep back slightly, so you can get like what angle and fill that you want to have. You can see how it's kind of facing down right now, so get it kind of tilted to where it is just sweeping right back. All right, so get the grips in first. And then, like I said, because these are wider, it is going to affect where the placement of this needs to go. You can't butt it up right against the grip like it was previously. Okay. Yes, sir.
Torque spec recommendations for the brakes, maybe like 5 Nm.
Yeah, I think what Brompton recommends is around 5. I would have to look that up, and I can probably throw that in the bottom.
No need to over tighten.
Yeah, definitely don't over tight. And the same thing, obviously, with your grips. You don't want this to be too tight because it's just a little. Yeah. But yeah, you don't want to over tighten any of this. So I'll leave a little bit of room for adjustment, just because obviously this is mostly feel, but you definitely want to put it in a position that's comfortable for you, and obviously make them level on both sides. And then also, obviously based off the angle sweep back that you want to have. Same thing here. Definitely don't want to over tighten, but obviously don't want play in there. Cool. So just need to adjust this guy. It's a little bit off. There it is. Just get a little rag real quick, because obviously because of the silver paint, you see a little bit of residue, but the rag should wipe right off. Hopefully. There it is. So you can kind of see, probably even just from me standing here, but you just have such a wider presence here. So there's a lot more. You can even go out here to the edges. It's just going to feel a lot more comfortable and stable on the road. So
Nice. Mahalos.
for sure.
Just got back, first ride on the Joseph Kuosac bars, and it's not even the same bike. It was one of the first things that I noticed when I first rode this Brompton with the S-bar. Everything felt really good, but coming from more of a mountain bike background, the handlebar width just seemed way too narrow, at least for me. It feels like a completely different bike. I can lay the power down with a lot more confidence when I'm going faster. Just having that wider grip and the wider stance makes it a lot more confidence inspiring, especially bombing down the hill, doing the little circle around the neighborhood. And another thing I noticed too about these bars is the sweep back is really nice. It actually feels a bit more ergonomic than the stock bars. So highly recommended as a first mod for anyone who's interested in having more stability and control and just a wider grip in general.
Cool.
Yes.
She's pro.